Many empires and colonial powers deliberately mixed or manipulated populations to prevent unified resistance. Example: the British Empire's policies in India, Africa, and the Middle East often favored certain ethnic or religious groups over others, creating divisions that weakened collective opposition. They are masters of commerce, moving bits of information and virtual products across global networks. In Rwanda, colonial powers exacerbated ethnic divisions between Hutus and Tutsis, sowing seeds of conflict. Forced migrations and resettlements throughout history. Governments have forcibly relocated or mixed populations to weaken existing social structures. The Trail of Tears in the US, where Native Americans were forcibly removed from their lands. The deportations under Stalin forcibly moved entire ethnic groups, like Crimean Tatars, to break regional identities. Slavery and the transatlantic slave trade. Millions of Africans were forcibly uprooted, mixed with other groups and exploited to build wealth in the Americas. This not only generated vast economic power for colonizers, but also created complex, multicultural societies with lasting social tensions. Ethnic cleansing and genocide exploitation sometimes took the form of ethnic cleansing to consolidate control over land and resources. The Armenian genocide, Holocaust, and the Bosnian War involved systematic attempts to remove or destroy populations seen as threats to ruling powers. Modern examples: labor exploitation and migration policies. Governments and corporations today still exploit migrant laborers, often pitting different populations against each other to keep wages low and resistance minimal. Policies that restrict or control migration also serve political agendas, sometimes inflaming xenophobia to distract from systemic issues. Power plants require skilled engineers and technicians. Why governments use population mixing and exploitation for power? Prevent unified opposition. Divided populations are easier to control. Economic exploitation, cheap labor and resource extraction are facilitated by vulnerable, displaced populations. Cultural assimilation, erasing or diluting distinct identities, helps consolidate a single dominant power narrative. Political distraction, focusing conflicts on identity or ethnicity diverts attention from economic and political injustice. What history shows us? The pattern is clear. Mixing populations and exploiting divisions is a recurring tool of control. It's a tactic rooted in fear of collective power and an obsession with maintaining hierarchy and privilege. This neglect bred a pervasive instability. Who suffers the planet? Choking under growth. Workers, burning out under productivity. Artists, healers, teachers, whose value isn't measured in cash. It creates the world increasingly dependent on complex, just-in-time global supply chains managed by traders. And why do they do this? Because true responsibility threatens profit. Owning harm would require stopping the harm, which would mean sacrificing profits, power, or ego. It's far easier and more profitable to outsource the cleanup to younger, idealistic generations without giving them tools, time, or systemic power. This creates a loop. Power denies harm. The young see the truth. The system praises them for caring, while handing them an impossible repair task. They burn out, despair, or get co-opted. The cycle repeats. As human labor for essential production dwindled, companies turned to a new solution. They looked to automation and robotics. If humans would not farm, perhaps machines could. If humans would not build, robots might. This was not a simple transition. Developing and deploying sophisticated robots to perform these complex tasks required immense capital investment and cutting-edge technological expertise. It was a technological leap born out of necessity, a way to fill the void left by a workforce that had collectively decided to pursue different dreams. These machines became the new silent workers, tilling fields, assembling goods, and maintaining infrastructure. They were not owned by the community, they were owned by a few. This technological shift created a new powerful elite. The visionaries who designed the robots, the engineers who built them, and the capitalists who owned the vast automated factories and farms became the new masters of production. They held the keys to the physical world, even as most of humanity was absorbed in the digital one. A stark divide emerged. On one side were these tech oligarchs and their small cadre of highly skilled technicians. On the other side was everyone else, increasingly reliant on the output of machines they did not control and whose workings they did not understand. This was not just an economic divide. It was a divide in power and understanding of how the world actually functioned. Wealth in this new economy began to concentrate at an alarming rate. It flowed upwards into the hands of the successful traders who navigated the complexities of digital markets, and even more so, into the coffers of those who owned the automated means of production. The digital marketplace, designed for frictionless commerce, also became a highly efficient mechanism for wealth extraction. Those who could create and control the algorithms, the platforms, and the robots reaped enormous rewards. Meanwhile, the traditional avenues for wealth creation through skilled labor or small-scale production diminished, leaving a vast majority with fewer pathways to economic security and prosperity. The story of wealth became a story of extreme concentration. You are not responsible for corporate destruction of the earth, governments waging unjust wars, generations of denial, greed, or colonialism. Economic systems built on exploitation, elites rigging the game and walking away clean. Those who created the mess must be the ones who own it. Not you, not the young, not the innocent, not the aware. A false narrative. We're all equally responsible. Truth, no. Those in power engineered and sustained the harm are responsible for taking the leadership roles and money for it. It is like I will pollute in every way and deny it, and you need to clean after me and my huge ego. False. We all need to do our part to fix it. True. Only if you helped break it, otherwise it's not yours to carry. False. You're just being negative or ungrateful. True. No. You're being clear, awake, and not complicit. Your role, if you choose it, is to expose, not absorb, to see, not suffer in silence, to say no, even if the crowd keeps saying yes. Global game of Go strategy. Encircle, divide, dominate territory, outsmart, deceive, plan movements. Dual identity, denialism, and not taking responsibility for manipulation of others. Player versus opponent, black versus white. Killer versus civilian, predator versus romantic, cold logic. Every move matters. Every act has consequences or cover-ups. Psychological play, AI and surveillance. Predict your enemy's mind, manipulate perception, hide true intent. Protests, initially small and scattered, grew in size and intensity. Riots erupted in cities where the gap between the wealthy traders and the unemployed masses was most visible. The social contract, the unspoken agreement that society offers opportunity in exchange for contribution, began to fray. How could a society maintain cohesion when a significant portion of its population felt excluded, unheard, and increasingly desperate for a dignified existence? Maybe the real game is this world, where some people play to expand and control, like black stones on the board. Others just want to live clearly, but are surrounded by systems that pretend to play fair, while actually manipulating, consuming, and masking harm. There is evidence for this, and data and no brainwash will make this disappear, even if humans do not say anything. Leadership roles and players. The charming manipulator, patient and calculating, always hiding a blade behind a smile. The disciplined predator, operating with a code, hunting his prey in the shadows. The mastermind cannibal, blending refinement with deadly intellect, playing psychological chess. Ancient immortal leeches, siphoning power from the pharaoh's regime. Invisible puppeteers, corrupting from within. The strategy, surround and conquer. Each player places their stones, moves in this dark game, carefully controlling territory, building influence inside the pyramid's corridors. The mastermind cannibal plants seeds of distrust among allies, eroding cohesion. The charming manipulator worms into the court, charming guards and spies, positioning for a fatal strike. The disciplined predator watches silently, waiting to execute his ritual justice when the time is right. Vampires feed on the fears and ambitions swirling inside the pyramid, growing stronger as chaos erupts. Psychological warfare. Every conversation, glance and whisper is a move on this complex board, like Hannibal's mind games or stalking obsession of a charmer, bending reality for their advantage. Encirclement, like Glowstones cutting off escape, the players aim to isolate their enemies, cut off alliances, suffocate power sources, and tighten the noose until victory is inevitable. The final kill or absorption. The disciplined predator delivers the silent execution. The charming manipulator manipulates fate with a twisted affection. Hannibal and vampires feasts on the vulnerable psyche. Vampires drain the life force to remain eternal. Who has this problem based on evidence with minimalism and size, matters, not honor and technique? What kind of person needs this, and what are the consequences of such actions? Ego-driven individuals compensating for insecurity. When someone lacks internal self-worth, they seek external validation through status, possessions, size, or domination. Consumer cultures, where identity equals sign ownership. In materialist societies, value is tied to things, not being. This is a direct product of marketing and social engineering. Bigger house equals sign better life. More equals sign success, honor, and technique are undervalued because they don't produce quick profit. Authoritarian leaders and systems power is maintained by creating fear and spectacle, not by fostering truth or skill. Honor is inconvenient to tyrants, so is real competence. These leaders surround themselves with symbols of power, grand buildings, titles, militarism, to hide spiritual and moral bankruptcy, fascist architecture of Mussolini's Italy monument obsession in Stalinist USSR. Modern dictators using wealth and weapons to prove strength, mass surveillance, already prevalent, could become total. Creativity and dissent could be stifled. What kind of person needs this? A person who feels unsafe in silence or simplicity, has no inner peace, so needs outer noise, cannot rest in their own presence without distraction, is afraid to be seen without armor or applause. Consequences of these actions: spiritual decay. The soul disconnects from truth. Peace becomes impossible. Constant needing replaces presence. Social collapse. Societies built on appearance and greed eventually eat themselves from within. Trust dies, justice dies, culture becomes a circus, environmental destruction. The drive for more and bigger kills ecosystems. Simplicity and harmony, as seen in indigenous cultures, are dismissed as primitive. Emotional disconnection. Relationships become transactional. Love is replaced by conquest or control. Counterbalance, minimalism plus technique plus honor. This is the way of the true warrior, the artist, the monk, the craftsman, the one who chooses precision over power, chooses depth over display, walks lightly but strikes with meaning. Think Miyamoto Musashi, Bruce Lee, Laozi, Jesus, Gandhi. Their strength was quiet, focused, and unstoppable. How to own your own soul. Step by step, look at the mirror. Not just your face, your eyes. Ask, who am I when no one is watching? What do I pretend not to see in myself? This is where truth begins. Not in books or systems, but in your own reflection. No filters, no roles, just you. Look at where you are on planet Earth. Literally, pull back the map. You are standing on a small piece of land within artificial lines called borders, in a system built before you were born. Ask, what has this land seen? Who lived here before me? What energy surrounds this place now? Look at who you work for. Who profits from your labor? Who sets your rhythm? Does your work serve life or just systems? Are you building something that will still matter when you're gone, or just fueling a machine that eats people? Look at what brick you are labeled with and in whose pyramid of power. You are not just a worker, you are a brick, placed, stamped, labeled. This pyramid, it's built on hierarchy, fear, and obedience. You may think you are climbing, but pyramids only rise on the backs of others. Ask who sits at the top and who paid the real price for you to be here. Look at the evidence. Who and how manipulated you to be there in the first place? Was it school? Media? Fear? Was it the promise of safety, success, love? If you just obeyed, ask, were your dreams truly your own, or were they installed, like software, by a system needing your silence? Was it really your free will? Choice without awareness isn't freedom, it's programming. Look deep in your heart and own your actions starting now. No one escapes responsibility. Even if you were misled, once you see, you must choose. You don't need to burn everything down. But you do need to stop lying to yourself. This is the turning point. You are not a cog. You are not a slave. You are not helpless. You are the one who decides from this moment forward.